One thing that you should be doing as you do your research, whether that be brainstorming or finding background information from an encyclopedia, is documenting your research process as much as possible. One of the ways that you can do that is through a template. There's a number that I found online, but for my students, I have created a template that may be valuable to you, and I've provided an example of how I would fill it in. A research documentation template is a good way to keep what you've found in order. So for this particular example, I've divided up the research documentation into a few different sections. The first is identify and develop your question. This is particularly useful if you're doing a research essay where you have to have a thesis or you have to make an argument on a particular topic. That being said, if you're doing a presentation or an article summary or an assignment where you don't have to develop a particular thesis, you could treat this section as just an outline of your topic rather than development of a research question. Finding background information is incredibly useful, particularly if you found it from an encyclopedia or an online website. Anytime that I find keywords or useful pieces of information from a background resource, I always make sure to document those keywords, and that's what section 2 here is for. Section 3 outlines how you can document scholarly sources. So I've put numbers 1, 2, and 3, and here you would put in the places that you have searched, and beside that, under search strategy, you could list some of the searches, either the successful, but you could also include the unsuccessful searches. That way you don't have to repeat searches, and you'll have a record of what you've done and what worked. Section 4 of the template talks about how to critically evaluate your sources. This is where you can establish what kind of source it is, how you think that source will help you either answer your research question or develop your topic. Also, sources can be used as keywords, including academic sources. So this is a place where I would outline and document the keywords and new terms that I learned from an academic source. At the very end, I have cite my sources. In this particular example, I'm looking at the topic of bullying in adolescence, and I have changed this section to identifying my topic rather than my research question because I'm doing an article summary and a presentation. I want to know the types of bullying that exist, and particularly what the effect of bullying on a person's development. What I've done in section 2 on background information is that I have documented the terms that I already know, so the things from my mind, as well as some of the terms that I found on the web and encyclopedias. So I know that I could search for things like bullying, middle childhood, adolescence, development, but I also encountered some really useful terms when I was looking in encyclopedia articles. So this would include things like cyberbullying, physical bullying, sibling bullying, depression, panic disorder, things associated with bullying in general. In section 3, I've done some searching in the PsycInfo database, and I have recorded the searches that were most successful, the ones that yielded the most results. In section 4, I've evaluated a particular source and talked about why I thought it would be useful to my research and some of the new terms that I found along the way. In section 5, now that I know that this particular article I found is useful, I've done a full APA citation down below. Now that I've gone through this process once, I don't have to stop there. At the bottom of the document, you'll notice there's some instructions, and I've said, based on what you've learned from your search results and your source, go back to the start of this worksheet and refine your topic and search process. And I've provided some guiding questions below. You can go through this worksheet multiple times using the same document to continually add keywords, refine your search, and add sources at the very bottom. This has been a short overview about how to document your searches as you find resources.